Hello everybody and welcome to Macro Talk. It is Tuesday, October the 21st, 2025. Welcome to Paul Hendley, who's halfway over the Atlantic, apparently. This is a first. I've never had anybody halfway over the Atlantic join the stream before. Glad you're here, Paul. Thank you. And the person you're talking about will also be mentioned in just a moment. Tonight, hunting slime molds. But maybe not, and I'll explain everything in just a moment. But Thursday, Macro Talk 2 is cancelled. Not actually cancelled, the Macro Talk 2 will go on, it's just changed. It'll be something different, and I'll explain that too in just a second. Saturday, Presume, that has not changed. That is on for my Patreon folks, and 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday until noon. We're going to have a bonus demo, a live thing on Saturday, I hope, if all goes well. And right after that, we have Tangent. For any of you into 3D modeling for macro photographers, this is your stream. You need to visit this because we have a lot of fun, learn a lot, and yeah, it's because Larry's there, not because I'm there. It's a 3D modeling thing. I believe Larry's back this month. I do hope so. And that will be on Saturday from 12:30 until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're trying to learn Fusion 360, do come, because you will learn a lot. All right, the competition is almost over. One more week, product photography. And we are going to have a special guest, as you know, Graham Carey, and it shall be a lot of fun. So please get your photographs in before the end of next week, and we'll be ready to go. Graham and I are going to make a video of the judging, so that will come out shortly thereafter. Okay, so what's going on? Well, it's complicated. I'll tell you the whole story in brief, but I was trying to think about what I was going to do this week, what I wanted to talk about, and I was coming up blank until my friend Graham Carey mentioned to me right out of the blue if I'd asked if I'd ever heard of a photographer by the name of Qutb Uddin. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He's a slime mold photographer. Well, he's a photographer of wildlife actually, and does a lot of different kinds of photography, but his slime mold photography is just remarkable. And no, I'd never heard of him. And I should have done, though, because he won the, or got an honourable mention, I should say, in the Natural History Museum competition. I forget what the competition's called. Wildlife Photographer of the Year, I believe. Why don't we just look at his website and see? Hang on. There it is. Yeah, this is the chap of whom I speak. Let me show this to you. So this is Qutb Uddin, and he's a young chap who takes wonderful photographs, and I've got a couple of them. I think one of them right here. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. What a lovely picture. Even my my good friend and also a slime mold photographer, Alison Pollock, knows the chap and loves his work as well. So anyhow, I had never heard of him, and I took a look at his website and I looked at all of his photography and was just absolutely blown away by the lovely images that he was creating. And he reminded me very much of the kind of images that both Alison and our friend Steve at Axford from Australia have been taking for years. And I thought, well, this is somebody I really need to talk to. So I did. Well, I didn't. I will. I got in touch with him in the UK. He lives in the UK, but he's from Bangladesh. And what's absolutely fascinating is he is from a town that is just 7 iron away from where I used to live in the south of England. He lives just along the South Downs from me. And that is remarkable that he had lived so close to where I'm from. So I thought, well, I just need to talk to the chap. It would be wonderful to have him on and have him talk to us about his photography and what he does. But in the process, it got me pulled right back into the whole slime mold thing. I've managed to go all summer without looking for or photographing a slime mold. And yeah, I really need to. I cannot believe I don't do more of it. I think it's a time thing. So I decided that this week I was going to do two things. I was going to do one video where I shared with you my equipment when I go looking for slime molds. It's a very practical, hands-on kind of thing where I'll show you all of the equipment that I use. And then on Thursday, I had the incredible idea of doing the live stream from a field or a patch of woods near here. And it seemed like a brilliant idea, and I was very excited about it. And only later did I think to check with my friend ChatGPT, who thought it was just an insane idea. And she went on to give me all the reasons why I shouldn't do it. Mostly hardware related, but some of them quite personal and insulting to me. But I decided that probably wasn't a good idea because it would have been very difficult to ensure that I had a good signal. I didn't have any of the fancy equipment for broadcasting from the field and didn't have time to source any of it. So I thought, well, what I'll do instead is go out and do a video of finding slime molds, and then I would introduce that on Thursday and play it and then answer questions during it. It sounded like another good idea, right? Well, this all came on because we had a couple of days of rain this weekend, and it is the beginning of the fall, so this is a good time to go looking for slime molds, I thought. So that's what I did today, and it was something of a disaster because it was much colder than I expected, and still raining a little bit, and very, very windy. So the video ended up being absolute pants, and I'm not going to show it to anybody, and I'm going to have to rethink what I'm going to do. So today, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about how I prepare for a slime mold photography trip. Now, I do something a little different than a lot of photographers. In that I don't particularly want to be lying on the ground outdoors for too very long. So I generally prefer to go out and find slime molds and then harvest samples and bring them back to the studio and photograph them like I do my insects, with all of my lighting and everything controlled in the studio, which is what I did today. And I did find some. It's not the way you're supposed to transport them, but yeah, you'll see. Things just didn't go the way they were supposed to. So what we'll do today is talk about basically the equipment and some of the fancy stuff and some of the not so fancy stuff that I use, so that when I'm out there I can be sure to have everything I need when I come across slime molds that I want to take home. And if you listen to Alison's interview that I did with her, there are a lot of problems, a lot of difficulties in bringing slime molds back to the studio because they're ever so fragile. I've had less problem with that than I have with photographing them in the field, to be honest. I seem to have no trouble bringing them back and them being in pretty decent shape. I also have a couple of terraria set up where I will put my slime molds and just let them be in that particular nature until I'm ready to photograph them. And that's what I'm going to be doing with the ones in here later on this evening. I'm going to be putting them into a terrarium where they'll be, I suppose, happy as clams until I photograph them, and then put them back in the terrarium. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And there are a few. It's coincident with the fact that there are a couple of things that I've been wanting to review that are things that I was not given by the manufacturer, that I was actually given or lent by friends, and have an opportunity to review them without any fear of contradiction from the folks that make it, which is great, because it's a couple of products from Small Rig, and you know I like Small Rig. I've worked with them before, but these are actually I'm going to be looking at two items from Small Rig, thanks to Susan Seaford, who made these available to me to use and review. Also, a product that you have heard a lot about, I'm sure, called the Platypod, which Robert Wester has kindly lent to me for now going on half a year to eventually get to do this review. And I'm going to show you how I used it, which is not probably the way you have used it or thought about using it. I'll get to that in just a little bit. So I thought the first thing we could do then was talk about a couple of these lighting systems, because I'm going to tell you what I take with me, because of course I'm a photographer and I do take my camera out with me when I go to harvest. It's just I'm not necessarily planning on taking pictures, but I'm ready to, and therefore I have to have lights with me. And I am not a big fan of carrying around a lot of heavy equipment in the off chance that I'll need it. So I don't like to take all of my flash with me and all of the extra batteries and everything else. I like to travel as light as possible, and that's why the first product I absolutely love. It's kind of like a seat of the pants emergency option for lighting in the field. I'm going to show it to you here. I mentioned it briefly the other day. It has a lot of parts, so I need to make sure that I show you all the parts. It is not the greatest naming company, small rig. They've come up with this thing called the RM03, which is this, and it is it's this doodad right here. It's a bendy arm. That screen is just only big enough to show it, isn't it? It's a bendy arm light that has a battery in here, a charging cover that will not stay closed on the back there, a couple of switches on the front, an optional spike out of the bottom, and the lighting unit on the end, which is mostly what I'm going to talk about. This is a remarkable piece of gear, and if you are going to be out in the woods and traveling light and just want to have one reliable light source, this would be one to consider taking. I absolutely love it. It turns on down here with the power button, unsurprisingly, and it has 5 different colors, and that's what the C button is for. Maybe you can see that right there. The colors are cold white, warm white, that's red. I know it doesn't probably show up. It's a bit too bright in the camera, but that's red, that's green, and that's blue. Perfect. This is a diffuser cap that comes off. It has other things that go on the end, and I'll pull them out and show you in just a second. But most interestingly, it has this focusing sleeve that allows you to pull you can't see that, can you? There we go. Allows you to pull the lens out. Let me find something white so you can see what happens to the size of the spot. So as we pull the thing back, you get a big flush of light there. As we pull it forward, you get a nice focused spot in all the different colors, like so. Yeah, this camera is not really rendering the colors very well, but this device renders colors beautifully, and that's one of the reasons I like it so much. It comes with all kinds of different things. Let me grab the... Here it is. Hold on. Oh, I've taken most of them out. It comes with a cold shoe adapter. It comes with a set of barn doors, which are actually pretty fancy looking, like so. And it comes with probably the most surprising and interesting thing of all was it comes with a little device here that slides into a fitting that goes on the end of the light, and a set of gobos. Now these are little metal filters with shapes cut out of them, so that the light, when it shines through there, will project onto a surface with various patterns on it. which are not particularly useful for macro photography, to be honest, but they're very interesting to look at. One of them says "Happy Birthday," and there's a straight line and a circle and a few others, and they fit into this tiny little holder. This doodad. This is the round one to show you just how small it is. That's it right there. The metal piece is what comes out, and it fits back in there. It's magnetic. Oh, there you go. Well, it keeps jumping out because it's magnetic. Anyway, yeah, fits in something like that. And then this goes into a little tube with a lens in it that I dropped on the floor, and I can't for the moment put my fingers on it. It's way under my desk there behind me. Anyhow, it's a handy thing that goes on the end. But most of all, this thing as an emergency single spot light source out in the field is magical to have, because it has this 1/4-20 screw on the end, which allows me to attach this to a clamp, to put it on a tree limb or a piece of equipment that's sitting by. I can also put it onto one of these clamps, which is perfect for holding the thing very stable on a flat surface. And well, really, you can put it on anything that takes a 1/4-20. You could put it on a tripod. But the thing I like the most, I found really intriguing, I've never seen this before, except the ones I make myself. It comes with this devilish looking spike that turns out to be unbelievably useful in looking for slime molds, especially if you're looking for leaf litter slime molds like I was today. So I was way down on the ground, and this thing just plunges into the ground and holds it perfectly steady while you position it wherever you need it. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed using it, and I think it's a handy thing to have. It costs about $50, $50 to get one of these things, and I think that's actually a very reasonable price for what you're getting. It's a very well made thing. If there's anything about it that I do not like, it's this. It's one of these handy hideaway covers for the USB-C charging port, but because of this little lip on it, you can't help but open it every time you touch the battery box. You open it, which means it's open to the elements. And you know, if you're out hunting slime molds, you're probably somewhere wet, and you're probably going to get the inside of that wet. So I actually put a piece of tape over it today so that would not pop off when I was outside. They really need to redesign that so that it's not a point of ingress for water. This appears to be about the right size to hold a single 18650 lithium ion battery, which is what I'm guessing is in here, because it has 20, what is it, 2000 milliamp hours, which is more than 2 hours and 20 minutes of light at full power. Oh, I should have mentioned that it has 4 different powers. I was changing the colors, but once it's on, like so, it doesn't really show it very well because I'm pointing it right at the camera, but you have 4 different intensities of light, which is very, very handy, obviously. So you can change both the color, which I don't. I usually leave it on the cold white, which is about what my camera will accept as white, and then adjust the intensity with the power button. But it's very, very handy, and it goes into any position in any space, and you can narrow the beam down by sliding the optical collar forward or backwards. So I mentioned all the stuff it comes with, and it's incredibly versatile, easy to use, easy to stow away. It doesn't fold down very flat, but it will fit in a camera bag around the other stuff very easily. I had no problem with that at all. It's got a 3-watt bulb in it. Now, that might not mean much to you if you don't dabble in this kind of thing, but a 3-watt LED is a pretty powerful LED. It's the kind of LED that really needs to be mounted on a heat sink if you're powering one in any kind of a project. So I know it's pretty powerful. It gives an angle between 4 degrees and 32 degrees, so the light will spread out, but it will also form a pretty fine point as well. We talked about the colors. It has actually 5 individual LEDs in it for the different colors, and the lux, which is just the way of describing light intensity for something like this, goes from 400 and that warm white, which is very soft, that's 400 lux, all the way up to 1800 lux for the green light, which is very, very bright indeed. It is way more light than you need from a single light source. I was using it at very reduced power. The CR, the color rendering index, CRI, was 95, which is very good. Most colors appear to be completely as you would expect them at CRI 95. And the TLCI, which is what is that? The television light color index. Television lighting color index, that sound right, is about 92. Now the other lights we're going to look at, also from SmallRig, have an even higher TLCI than that, and they are really super. We'll be getting to them next. But the battery is, like I said, 2000 milliamp hours. It has 2 hours and 20 minutes output. I tested it this afternoon, and at full power, first of all, the battery gets a bit warm. The LED gets a bit warm at the end, and on max power, I got about 2 hours and 10 minutes before it just went out, and came back on when I recharged it. So there you go. And that's the RM03. That's the model number. It's it's called their macro LED, and I don't work with SmallRig anymore. They have had about 1,000 new products since I worked with them, and this is one of them. It's too bad I don't work with them, because I'd rave about this on their behalf. It's lovely. I'm very glad I had an opportunity to use it. Thank you again to Susan Seaford for that. But if you've got $50 sitting around and you're looking for a very easy to use light source for the field that is incredibly versatile and comes with a built-in weapon, yeah, get one of these. You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. Now, very similar, and not really very similar at all, is the next lighting solution, and this is the RM01 from SmallRig. This is the mini LED video light kit. This is the box in which it comes. It's an unassuming grey box, nice and firm, and has a zipper on it. And inside it's absolutely gorgeous, by the way. It's really, really nicely made. I'm going to put back all the stuff I took out for today. It comes with 3 charging cables that fit the lights that I'm going to show you in a second. I've got a piece of Velcro on that I'll have to take off. It comes with 3 barn doors of the same kind that we just looked at, only magnetic on the front. So 3 barn doors, and when you open the thing up, you have, now obviously the lights aren't in there, let's put one in so that you can see it. We have 3 of these lights, and this is what I'm going to be talking about in just a second. This is what the whole thing's about, and I'm going to rave about these too. It has 3 of the cold shoes, a box of filters with a honeycomb and colored filters for each. So you've got a total of 3 of each. These things are fantastic for keeping the light directed on your subject. There are 3 tripods, and these are rubbish tripods, but they're probably the best rubbish tripods I've used, because they have extra legs on them for getting higher up, and yeah, otherwise they're the same as the short rubbish tripods. I wouldn't put anything any heavier than one of these little lights on it, but they're perfect for this. So 3 of those, 3 snoots, very nice, and each of them comes with its own diffuser, and I love these diffusers. These things really work well. Let me show you. They turn on with a button on the top. One long press and on they come. They have, I think it's 4 different intensities. We'll see in just a second. But with the diffuser on, the light really is very soft and extremely usable for macro. It has 2, 3, 4 light power settings, just like the little bendy arm one, only these seem to put out a good bit more light. They have a 1/4-20 screw on the bottom. You turn them off, by the way, just by holding the light button there. They have a 1/4-20 thread that fits on all of these attachments that I showed you, and a little door which is way better than on the other device, behind which is your charging port, which is a USB-C. This comes with 3 of the, there's 4 here, but I borrowed one from another light. These are very handy, so long as you remember to take with you a power bank of some type. This is not a particularly high capacity one. I've recommended in the show notes a better one by Anker, which holds a lot more power than this, but this got me by today, no trouble. It charged up all 3 of the lights, no trouble at all. So some kind of a USB power adapter is a good idea. So these are made presumably for video, seeing as they're called video lights, but these are just about perfect for field macro when you're trying to use continuous light, and whether or not you have a good surface to be working with or not, and that's something I'm going to show you in just a second. If you can get 3 of these in service with the diffusers on them, you can pretty much manage your lighting the same way I manage lighting in the studio. You can position them almost anywhere you want, and you'll see when I show you the setup that I used in the woods, you'll see why it was a very flexible system. Much the same as what you would expect to be able to do in the studio, but in order to use it the way I did, I had to come up with something creative. It turned out that where I was rather exposed, very windy, and yeah, there just weren't any of the good options for setting up my lighting, so I had to come up with a different way. Now, this is much more expensive than the single light, obviously, because it's 3 of them. It's $109, which actually I don't think is that expensive, because these lights are, in my opinion, better, more reliable, less prone to suddenly powering down without warning, and seem to hold a charge just as long as the other light that I won't mention, the one that I've used in the past for my field macro, that has been a major disappointment over the years. These are much better. These are a fraction of the price and far more reliable. So definitely worth looking at. They also have very high CRI and CLTI, I believe it was, numbers 95 and 95, which is pretty impressive. 95 and 95 is what you would expect from some pretty high-end video lighting, actually. Comes with the color filters, like I said, and the 4 power settings, and there's 3 of them in the kit, and all of the accessories are three of each, so you're never going to get stuck without one or the other. Honestly, I can't see myself needing to use the snoot or the barn doors. I'm not sure that they would even have much effect with a light that small, but the diffuser is spot on. It really works. It's definitely worth having. And let me see. They're even more versatile, obviously, once you figure out a way to mount them. Now remember, I was in the woods. I was crawling around on the floor, on the ground, with just leaf litter. That was all it was. Trees, leaf litter, and ants. There were a few hardy ants crawling over me, but other than that, there was nowhere to mount anything. There was nowhere to put the lights. Yet I wanted to light up the area that I was searching, because I don't know if you know this, but slime molds are really, really little. They are just about beyond the ability to see without some kind of magnification. I'll get into that in just a second, but I needed a way to mount these lights, and I'm going to show you that, but it's going to be part of my discussion of the next product. So these things, just to be complete, they are tiny, about 36 millimeters cube. So, you know, they're really small, like that small. That is unusually small. They have a 60-degree cone of light out the front without any modifiers on them, and they charge with USB-C, and they say that the LEDs in these are COBs, by the way, chip on board LEDs, and they're supposed to be good for 50,000 hours. I can almost guarantee you that I won't be spending 50,000 hours in the leaf litter with these lights, so I expect them to last a long, long time, probably as long as I'll ever need them. The let me see, the lux, I told you the lux on the other lights, it's 1,000 at half a meter with these, and at a full meter it's 300 lux. That might not mean much to you, but let me put that into English. They're mighty bright, and definitely bright enough for anything I would be wanting to do. They have a 95 CRI, 95 TLCI, as I said, which is very, very good. And yeah, that's one of the things I love about this the most is when I go out in the past and I've needed multiple lights, which I frequently do because that's the way I roll. I use lots of different lights. The problem was I had the RM75 light panel from Small Rig, and then I had a small panel from Neewer, and then small panels from a couple of other companies, and they all had about the same CRI, but their number was for a CRI with a spectrum in a different range. In other words, you can get a CRI of 95 and have a completely different spectrum than another 95 CRI light. Not so within the same company or within the same model. They're almost always matched. But if you go from one model of LED to another, you may well find that some of the lights are reacting differently to give different colors, which can be very, very problematic in color management when you're using mixed lighting like that. That's why I really love having these three, and the fourth light, the bendy arm light, which is made by the same company and almost certainly has the same LED chips in it. So we've got a real set here. This is like my flashes. They're all the same. All the MF12s all line up together, and they give you the same unmixed light, which is very handy. So definitely worth going. Now, the power is a bit different than this. This has a fairly whopping battery in there with 2,000 milliamp hours of power. These only have 1,000 milliamp hours. No, it's not. It's 800 milliamp hours, and they also put out 3.6 volts. I know the batteries they have in here, they're those little flattened packet batteries. They're very good, but they'll only give you just under an hour of light if you're using them at full power, which you probably won't be. They don't need to be that bright. But 800 milliamp hours is not a lot. It's pretty remarkable given the size of the batteries, but it's still not a whole lot of light. So I would not go out there without this. You need this, or something bigger than that. It's the Anker, what's it called? The Prime Power Bar, 26,000 milliamp hours. It's expensive. It's about 150 bucks. But that thing will power all of your equipment in the field. You'll be so bored with looking for slime molds by the time you run out of power. With that power bank, I wouldn't worry about it. So, which one of these would I recommend? Both. I'd recommend both of them. Easy for me to say because I'm not, as I said, not working for the company. I'm just giving you my personal advice. I think these are absolutely stonking good lights that I'm really happy with. I haven't spoken about these before because I haven't had a chance to use them as much as I did in the last couple of days, and really get a feel for how good they are. Very, very impressed. Now, something that I'm not as impressed with. Well, I am impressed in some ways, but I'm a little baffled by is the Platypod. That's what we're going to talk about next. Now, I've been doing macro photography for a long time, and as many of you know, when in the field, I'm typically a handheld kind of guy, though I do occasionally use a tripod, and I will occasionally find myself very close to the ground with a tripod. But I have selected tripods that will allow me to do that, and I have never encountered a situation where I thought, I wish I had a tripod that just didn't have any legs at all, so I could put it on the ground. Because when those circumstances come around, I would usually just put the camera on the ground, and because I'd be down there with it. So the Platypod was not something that I ever salivated about, thinking that would be a very useful thing for my workflow. For those of you who don't know, and I'm clearing away some space here, mainly because that spike thing was pointed right at my heart and making me nervous. Now I'm going to see if I can find a picture of the Platypod before I show you the one I have here. I know I can because I was just looking at it. And let me move it over to t'other screen, and then I'll show you what it is we're talking about. So this is the device in question. This is from their website, and yeah, it's called the Platypod Extreme. That's the one I was testing. Thanks again to Robert Wester for giving me years to work with this thing. This is about what you get. What you see is what you get here. It's a piece of metal with 4 legs on it that swivel down. They can be either soft or pointy, depending on which way you want them. And they are supposedly to hold your camera nice and flat and still close to the ground. I get that. I completely understand that. They would in fact do that. I've experimented with it, and it does a very good job of holding your camera steady on the ground. You put a tripod head on the big screw in the middle there. Well, I'll show you that on the real thing. Yeah, you go to town that way. But like I say, it's not something I've ever really felt like I couldn't live without was a you know, a couple of times I do tell a lie, because a couple of times I had projects that I wanted my camera mounted on the ground, and I put a quarter 20 well, actually the next size up, one of the big screws for the tripod head, through a board, a wooden board, and used that, and it seemed to do just fine. So this is not something that I've often wished that somebody would invent. So when I was given a chance to work with it by Robert, I did, and after using it a couple of times, I was still left with much the same feeling, that it seemed like a lot of work to mount a camera to this thing, and by the time you had a tripod head on it, it wasn't that close to the ground either. I mean, it wasn't nearly as close to the ground as it would be if I was holding it. So anyway, I thought I might have found a use for it today that I would really get the most out of, and that was to hold my lights, because I didn't have any way while I was out there to hold the lights. So this is what I came up with. Let me show you what I did, and you can tell me if this is silly or not. Right, I'm going to have to move this light, I think, a little bit higher up. There we go. I think it just moved down again on its own. So this is the Platypod Extreme. This piece, the base plate with the little legs extended on the screw things. The legs swivel and turn just by pulling them out. You can rotate them to different angles, like so. Now, when I've had this with my camera mounted to it, I was a bit less than impressed with the stability. Each of these legs has quite a bit of play in it, from the both from the rotating part and from where the screw fits into this housing. They wobble, and all four of them together wobble quite a bit. I'm sure you can see that. But for a stage, for hunting for slime molds, this thing was absolutely unequaled. It was so cool. I took the diffusers off, because this was not for photographic light. This was for me being able to see what I was doing light. And I was able to set up both of these are the small rig lights we were just talking about. I was able to focus on a piece of leaf litter this size, and then I had a bendy arm with an alligator clip on it, which I was using to hold things out of the way, and then I would pick through the leaf litter with tweezers and actually a pair of chopsticks that I like to use for that type of thing, and turning over the leaves where I had beautiful light, and I could hold my magnifying glass, which I carried in my pocket. I've looked at all kinds of magnifying glasses. I'll say something about this in a minute. It came out of an old lens or a projector or something, and it's exactly what I need. It's just perfect with these lights. So this was a really good use for this device. I'm sure that the people who make this will be disgusted to hear that that's what I was using it for, but I was, because it absolutely served the purpose beautifully, and it let me hold everything still, get everything out of my way, and put bright light right where I needed it. Now I would have it out in front of me, and I would be back in this direction and working in this area right in front of me. So I had this tool I could use in any way I wanted, or have it completely out of the way. And then I'm going to take that off so that I can show you the way it's supposed to be used. But these things have been around for a while, and I've seen them used in all kinds of different ways for with the soft wheels, the soft pads down to mount a camera on top of your car or something like that, which is fine. A lot of it appears to be a little contrived. I'm trying to be nice about this. These holes, for example, on the edges are to put a belt through. Not sure why you would put that on a belt. I think on the little video I watched, they were belting it to a tree. Yeah, again, I'm not exactly sure why you would want to do that. It has holes all over it. Some of them are threaded. Unfortunately, some of them are not. These ones are threaded. Now, it is my understanding that they are threaded, so these spiky feet, and they are really spiky. They can be screwed out of the swivelly arms and placed through these. Well, that's upside down. If you wanted the rubber feet, you could just screw this in from the bottom, like so. And also, there's a fair amount of wiggle in that too. So, there you go. But that's the idea. Now, that leaves 1/4-20 holes here that presumably could be used for these lights. The problem is, if you're using them like this, like I chose to do, first of all, not all of these holes are threaded. Some of these are trick holes, like this one and this one, and this one that don't actually have thread in them. They are just holes, and I believe, according to the legend printed on it, it's so that you can screw it to something, screw it to the wall. Again, not super clear what the purpose would be of screwing the thing to the wall. You've got to be careful with these points, by the way. They're really sharp. So if you're sensing that I was a little bit confused about this whole device, yeah, I was just a little. It seems to be a clever invention that if you have a use case where you absolutely can't live without it, then it would be a wonderful thing to have. But it seems like it's got all kinds of bells and whistles that really just consist of different shaped holes. These holes here, or these two and this one, are to put a carabiner on it. What's a carabiner, you ask? You're obviously not a climber like me. It comes with a lovely neoprene pouch. This is the carabiner, and I haven't opened it because this is not mine. But the carabiner would clip through one of these holes, presumably so that you could wear this on a chain around your neck as a jewelry item, or not. But let me show you how it's supposed to be used. So, am I missing the point here? Can somebody tell me what they use this device for that makes it a must-have for them? Because you spent a fair amount of money to buy this, and there must be something about it that is important in your photography. If I sound like I'm moving away, it's because I'm looking for a screwdriver so that I can attach this thing properly. It's got an adapter in it. It doesn't need. Hang on. Nope. Chat amongst yourselves. I've got to find a screwdriver here. Here you go. I put an adapter screw in the bottom of this Manfrotto tripod head. Let me remove that. There we go. So this is to get back to what I was talking about earlier. This is where your tripod head would go, and my point, that's an iPhone holder that I had on there for another project. But by the time your camera is mounted on this, your lens is going to be about this height off the ground, a foot off the ground, which, I don't know, my tripod goes this low. I could get my tripod down to the same level, with a little careful planning of which way the legs were bending and so on. So yeah, let me know if I'm missing something and something that I should know about. Then do tell me, because I'd like to know. I certainly don't want to. This is not a negative review, because this is a very beautifully made, well engineered piece of gear. It's also not inexpensive. I believe this is about $160, $180. Quite a bit of money for an aluminum plate, albeit beautifully finished and well thought out. What am I missing? What should I be using this for? I look forward to hearing. That is the Extreme Platypod. They also make an Ultra, which is quite small, and a Max, I believe, is the name of the other one, which is quite large and a different shape. Yeah, they're all not inexpensive and do the same thing, basically. So it was a huge advantage for me to have this in the field the last couple of days, because of it's really excellent as an auxiliary lighting platform or magnifier platform. I could see many ways, if that was all I did, that there would be many ways in which I could use that in the field. But as a camera base, probably less so. Now, you must have a magnifier if you're going out in the woods to look for slime molds, because honestly, they are too small to see, except when you have a whole bunch of them. When you have millions of them, you can see the whole colony. But when you have a leaf that has 2 or 3 fruiting bodies on it, and they're like the ones I'm looking for, are Lamproderma scintillans, and they are so little. One of these things I think might have a Lamproderma on it, one of these leaves. I'm not going to pull them out in case I knock it off, but without this, there's no way I could have known that those little dots were fruiting bodies. So I carry 2 of these things with me. One of them is just a simple, it's a more positive on one side than the other, but it's a convex lens. And then I have this one, which I made from different components. It has a bi-concave lens in the middle, and then 2 bi-convex lenses sandwiched together. Now they're not cemented together. I just use metal tape to hold them together. But this is actually, it's got a name, this particular assembly of three different shapes of lens. Somebody will remember. If you think of it, let me know, because it'll drive me crazy. But this is better because I can actually use this from way further back. In other words, if I'm using this lens, I have to be quite close, and the lens has to be close to the object. But with this one, I can be way far back like this. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a common thing in camera lenses, and it took me forever to find all the different lens sizes that would fit. And I've got a box of them over there. But you need something like this. And yeah, it's a triplet of some kind, and I just can't remember the name of it, so don't worry about it. What else was I going to show you? Probably the most important thing that I nearly forgot. This, 2 things. A fishing tackle box that has compartments that actually close off, so that you can put, I put moist filter paper. I put this paper into these boxes, and then I wet them, and then I put my subjects in there, so it holds them separate. And I don't turn it upside down or throw it around. Handle it with great care. and that will keep your little pieces of bark or leaf litter moist until you can get back to the studio and take care of them properly. So magnifying glass and that, proper clothing, because if you're if you're in Illinois doing this, you're going to freeze your tail off because it was windy out there and cold today. So wear some proper clothes, and the best thing of all, a Harbor Freight bucket. What did I use that for? To sit on. It's better than lying in the wet leaves, I discovered. Especially if you're on a slope and you can bend down that far. But yep, I carried all my stuff out into the forest with that, emptied it out, and then used it as a chair. Hadn't thought about it ahead of time, but it was brilliant. I might even take a cushion. How about that? That's an important life lesson there. Let me see who all is here so I can say hi. I saw a bunch of folks early on, and only had a moment to say hi to my friend Paul. Was it Paul? Halfway up. Stuart is here. Stuart Wood. My goodness. Oh, Stuart, I'm so glad you came, because I know that you use one in the studio, and you have had a lot of use with it. Probably using it more like I was. And yes, you remind me that you use it for your subject, not your camera. How cool. Okay. There are other versions of the Platypod, Chinese copies that are more rigid and sturdy. I have used them as a substitute. Arthur was just leaving. See ya. Hastings lens. Thank you, Zeno. Thank you, Zeno. Yes. I knew somebody would know that. Thank you very much. And gosh, glad to see you, Stuart. I'm so sorry I didn't see you here earlier. I really didn't get a chance to look at the... Ian, thank you so much for the what are they? The CA dollars. Chinese, California, I don't know, but thank you very much indeed, Ian. Appreciate it. And oh, Klaus, thank you, Klaus. Also from Klaus, a generous. Wow, there's a whole bunch of folks showed up today. I'd have been nervous if I'd known all of these people were going to be here, especially Paul. Flying over the Atlantic and watching, that would have really made me nervous. So hi to everybody. A lot of folks came tonight. I'm so glad. I have no idea what I'm going to do on Thursday, seeing as my plans have been totally blown out of the water. I'll come up with something slime moldy though. What I was gonna do out in the field was explain as well as I can, and it's I think it's pretty poorly understood by the scientists that study it, is exactly where to look for the different slime molds that you may be interested in, because they don't all hang out in the same places. Like Stemonitis that I showed last year, that landed on my car after a big limb fell off the tree in my front garden. That's one that just basically lives on bark, and there are others like I almost said Lamprey peltis, which is a snake, completely different kind of organism. Oh gosh, what was it? Anyway, and there are several that just live in leaf litter predominantly, and I was going to go through some of that and just kind of guide you. But I think the biggest fact to take home from where to go looking for slime molds is slime molds seem to be more common in places where the people who like those slime molds live. Get what I'm saying? People who like slime molds and go out looking for them seem to find more of them than people who have no knowledge of them, so they don't talk about them and they don't get written down. So the fact is that wherever people, New Zealand is Tasmania is another place where people do love slime molds, and they count them and they look at them and they catalogue them, and it looks for all the world like that's where most of them are. But it's probably just where most of the people who are looking for them are. But anyway, I'm the only one in Illinois, I think, that I know of right now. So I will keep looking, and if I find some, I'll put them in a book maybe, and then it'll become a thing. Until then, have a great rest of the Tuesday, and I will see you on Thursday, if not then on Saturday. And don't forget Tangent at 12:30 on Saturday, especially if you're trying to learn Fusion 360. That will be a great opportunity for you. So thank you very much for coming. Paul, I hope you have a safe flight the rest of the way over there or back here, whichever way you're going. And thank you everybody for coming. It was wonderful to see everybody. And I'll see you again Thursday. Take care and good night.